Welcome to the morning show.
No, that's way too much. You're up here.
Welcome to the morning show.
Welcome back to the morning show.
Hi. New setup because Ashton doesn't like cool setups, I guess.
I don't really want to explain why I moved it, but it has to do with lighting and focus.
Don't worry, guys. I'll fix this. I'll do it for you.
Today, we're going to talk about our favorite horror movies.
Top 5.
I thought we said top 3.
No,
You said...
Yeah, we did say top... Fuck. We said top 3, but then we were like top 5 could be good because...
Well, I have a top 5 movies. I do not have a top 5 horror movies.
Can we fix that? Can we fix that now?
Right here, yeah.
Bang. Do you want to go first?
Yep.
Alrighty.
I love going first.
Yep. For our top 5 horror movies. Yay! Yay! Okay.
My first one is not a horror movie. Well, it's only barely a horror movie. I'm thinking of Ending Things. I think it's directed by Charlie Kaufman. I'm honestly not really sure. And I'm being so real. I watched this movie one time.
Okay, that's okay.
I was going through my Letterboxd as one does, trying to figure out which ones I was like, yeah, that's like, I love that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just the rest of the movies on my list. I love those movies. I've watched them all multiple times, but this one just really resonated with me. When I first watched it, if you've watched this movie, you know it's kind of stupid. It's really hard to understand. And unless it gets explained to you or you've read the book, you barely know what's going on. But it's just really sad. And it's like so real that I'm like, I can't not put it on my list of top 5 horror movies.
I haven't seen this movie, so I don't know how absurd it is that this movie is.
It's like, I think it's like 3 hours long. And it's just like these two characters doing stuff together. They're like dating and a bunch of weird shit keeps happening. Mm-hmm. And like it ends in like a dance sequence.
Spoiler warning.
And it's like really hype. Well, I mean, it ends in a dance sequence. No, please make it stop anything but that.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll check it out.
Oh, and it's got Toni Collette in it.
Yes.
Who's an old lady in this movie. And she's like, don't make that fucking face at me.
Okay.
I'm not staying on this farm.
Nice. Okay. Well, Ashton's number 5. My number 5, a controversial one, apparently. I don't know why it's controversial, but Skinamarink.
I saw Skinamarink and I was like, that is nowhere near my top 10. Not even top 5, not top anything.
Why? You liked it.
I mean, I did like it, but I don't have any real sentimental connection to it. It was a good movie and I liked it, but I didn't like it enough. Like I would never rewatch that movie unless I was showing it to someone else.
So I get that. I think I'd rewatch it because I definitely want to, there's so many things that you could have missed and, I don't know. Here's my thing. I think it's the first movie that I've ever seen that handles not a cosmic horror, but horror in such a way, in such a like visceral and like it makes normally in a movie that in any other movie that was having the same premise as Skinamarink, I feel like it's the characters that are confused almost, and the characters are the ones reacting to what's going on. But the movie is actively the one trying to confuse the audience, and it makes you feel like you're there and makes you fucking try to figure out and pick up the pieces. And, I get what you mean where it's like, there's no sentimental connection. But then again, it kind of is for me because that's the most scared I've ever been at a movie. Like, I remember I was half asleep, and I will say, a lot of people say watch the movie when you're half asleep. I did, so maybe I'm biased, but I was half asleep, and then like the halfway point came along, and then from then on, I was just like eyes wide open, fucking horrified, and the ending, you know what I mean? So good, such a good movie. Yeah, that's my top. That's my 5th.
Yeah, I just don't think it has a lot of, I don't think replay value really means anything.
Yeah.
Or rewatch value, but I don't know, like once you watch the movie, like why would you ever watch it again? You kind of unless you were making some kind of analyzation of it.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of got everything you need, and then you just look online to see what fucking Redditors and Gooners think about it. Like,
I could see
think that the monster is actually a baby alien.
I could see that argument, but I like genuinely, while I can't think of any off the top of my head, I don't think replay value has that much of a thing in movies, for me at least, you know. But
it does. A lot of people have said this reminds me of House of Leaves by. There's a bookshelf over that way. Let me look.
a stupid book I'm not going to read.
Mark Z. I can't pronounce his last name. It's not important. Moving on, I guess, unless you have anything more to say of it.
That's it. Skinamarink. Make more like it.
Midsummer by Ari Aster. I think 90% of my movies are A24 movies.
That's a valid way to go. Again, I haven't seen this movie. I need to. I don't know why I haven't. I really don't know why I haven't. Because I love him. I love the director.
Ari Aster is like, what if this person had a really like problematic like bond with their family, and then they were in a really bad relationship, and there was a cult, and it's just great. It's really good. It is a horror movie, but it doesn't really feel like one. Like the tone isn't like that of any other horror movie that you would have seen, and that really makes it feel uncomfortable to watch because you can't really find a home for yourself. You can't really expect what's going to happen,
right?
Because it's very different from all of the other horror movies.
Yeah,
and it's just so like there are things that happen in the movie that are like horror movie things that, you know, are supposed to happen like horror movies, but it doesn't ever feel like it. Like when you watch violence in any other horror movie, it feels like, you know, it's a horror movie, there's gonna be violence, it's, you know, for some people it's the point, but every time there's any kind of violence in that movie, it doesn't feel like satisfying or cool. It's not what you're there for. It's just like, ew, what the fuck, and it makes you really uncomfortable.
Yeah,
and it just makes you feel so much discomfort while watching it, and that's why it's up there. And I like the movie.
Yeah. No, I need to see it. There's a lot of not controversy in the way that the film is controversial, but like a lot of differing opinions on the ending and how people feel whether or not it's a good ending or a bad ending. I suppose I'm real interested. So
I think it's a good ending.
I think it's a good ending. Okay.
Well, I mean, I don't know if like good for the characters, but good from like a writing standpoint.
Yes,
what I
that's
mean.
what
like,
I mean.
It's a well-written movie.
There are people who think that it's a good ending for the characters.
I mean, if you're on that Diamond Mine guy.
What? Moving on. Okay, time to get like, you know. Listen, here's the thing, okay? And I think you're gonna notice this. Here's the thing. No, it's not the thing. It's not the thing. Here's the thing about our lists. Objectively speaking, I feel like Ashton's gonna have the more interesting, cool. Oh, look at me! I have movies you've never seen before lists, naturally. And I'm gonna have the obvious ones. And with that, The Shining by Stanley Kubrick.
I was thinking about putting The Shining on mine.
Yeah. And in fairness, you probably knew I might put it on mine.
I did not. I had no idea. That thought didn't cross my mind.
Well, yeah, The Shining. It's what can be said about that movie that hasn't already been said. If there's anything that I can add, that the reason why I put it on my list is because it is such a... I really enjoy my movies based off of the feelings they have me feel and the kind of mindscape and the, I don't know, stuff like that. But the soundtrack, just the visuals, like everything, like the moments in that movie, and we're not even talking about the you know, fucking axe through the door or you know, Jack going crazy. We're just talking about, you know, Jack throwing a ball through a hallway, or, you know, Jack fucking just walking towards the ballroom, right? And him just walking around. Like, that movie lives in my mind rent-free just because it is generally the most, like, visually interesting movies to me. I mean, Skinamarink up there, honestly, but I think The Shining is more visually interesting in a different way. That's my 2 cents. And then, obviously, I'm not even trying to get into the performances. You know why The Shining's good, but that's the reason why I like it a lot.
I also like The Shining.
Hell yeah! All right.
I have the book. I have yet to read it.
Same.
I like mostly. I mean, obviously, it's a good movie, like from a technical standpoint. I just like snow. So when I watch that movie, and they're like, "Whoa, it's cold out here.
Just
we
wait.
We need to go into the Overlook Hotel."
Just wait till the audience finds out that our album is called Winter. December.
What?
Winter.
It's what the fuck is your problem? Did you forget the name of the album?
No.
You did. I just watched you do it. I just fucking watched you. What are you talking about?
Anyways.
I want to read the book. I would maybe one day like to watch like the Stephen King miniseries that they did, because
I did watch that.
What did you like it?
I liked it, but you're not gonna like it more than the movie. I like it in a fundamentally different way.
Yeah,
that doesn't come to the level of me liking it in the movie.
I've heard that one of Stephen King's larger problems with the movie is the fact that his book mainly thematically is supposed to be about addiction. Jack can't stop himself from doing that, and obviously there are themes of addiction in the movie, but I can't remember what it was like. Stephen King wants Jack to be a sympathetic character, and the Overlook is evil, or Jack is evil and the Overlook is just monopolizing on his pre-existing negative qualities. I can't remember which of those it is.
Yeah.
It's been a really long time since I've seen the movie.
Well, I think that is one of the best reasons to enjoy The Shining, because there's so much discussion about it, because exactly what you said. I think the miniseries offers that question where it's is it Jack or is it the hotel, and so does the movie, so does the Stanley Kubrick film, because that but I think that also poses another question of whether the Overlook is even a entity, right, or Jack's just going crazy, right, or the characters are just going crazy, and I think that's interesting. A good film, the films that I like the most pose questions. And again, now that I think about it, maybe mine don't so much, but anyway, I love it. There's so much discourse, it's good.
Did you watch Dr. Sleep?
Guys, I'm gonna admit something horrible. I watched the kill count before I watched Dr. Sleep.
I do that with movies that I know I don't really care that much to watch. I'll watch the kill count because I gotta eat something. I gotta watch something while I eat.
Yeah.
I think Dr. Sleep sort of says almost definitively that the Overlook is it's supposed to be an evil thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
But it's also not directed by Stanley Kubrick, I don't think. I think Stanley was thinking of his version of The Shining as its own thing.
He's dead.
Stanley Kubrick's dead?
He's been dead for 30 years.
I knew that.
Okay.
No, but I remember I remember finding I was watching YouTube videos about his movies, and they mentioned the fact that he was dead, and he was like, no fucking way.
No way. No. Yeah.
But I didn't know he was dead until a month ago.
Yeah, that's pretty bad, man. But I will say, yes, Dr. Sleep technically says that, but I think that you're still valid in thinking that it's all in Jack's mind, because, different director, different vision, because Dr. Sleep was actually trying to mix the books and the film together, and I quite enjoyed that about it, but it also, makes you kind of have two different almost universes sometimes in your head.
I watched that movie on an airplane.
You did, yeah. That's an interesting place to watch it.
It was so fucking miserable.
I'm gonna spoil real quick. That fucking the scene of the boy getting getting vapored.
Me when I'm a boy getting vapored.
No, that okay. We're making jokes, but I saw that. That is so fucking sad.
Yeah, what a
that
good
made my
actor.
tummy hurt.
Yeah, I remember
my tummy
that.
hurts thinking about it. Yeah.
My next. Wait, no.
Yes, you're next.
I'm gonna get coffee.
I'll keep you guys company. I know I won't. No, don't.
Let's see. I've done 2 right so far.
You're on number 3.
Yeah.
Do you need a refresher on what your number 3 was?
Nope. Get it?
'Cause that's
Oh,
the movie.
Nope. Oh, cool. I haven't seen Nope.
What's your
Fuck.
fucking problem? Why haven't you seen any of these
I
great
know.
movies?
Okay, and God, I don't know. I'm not going to provide an answer. I just haven't. But I want to. I want to watch all of these, and I will. Maybe we can have an episode of Trenton watches movies. And anyway, yeah.
Yep, it's about I don't really know how to talk about it without spoiling it, so I'm just gonna if you don't want to hear about stuff that happens in the movie, skip. But it's about an alien. It's about an alien. I mean, I figured you'd know that much if you've seen
Hopefully.
anything about the goddamn movie.
Hopefully you have.
But
I know that.
like the twist in the movie. Spoiler alert. The alien spaceship that they're looking at isn't an alien spaceship. I guess spoiler warning for you too.
I do know a lot about this film.
I forgot
so
that
it's
you
okay.
hadn't seen it. Sorry about that.
It's fine, man.
This
is the consequences.
That like switch makes it so much scarier because it stops being, you know, what they doing in that ship to why is that animal hunting me and my friends and what can I do about it? That's an apex being and I'm fucked. And also all of the like themes and stuff in the movie about, I guess, I can't remember that there's naturally because it's a Jordan Peele movie. There's a biblical quote in the beginning of the movie. I love it when there's a quote before a movie, but it's about like spectacle and the taking advantage of other beings, specifically animals, to create content. And it's all watch a video essay about it, but it's good. It's just a good movie, and I like it. And
Fantastic.
I thought it was cool, and it made me feel real good when I was watching it. And I don't know. It's so most of my movies aren't really like I think they're good movies, but there's something so aesthetically pleasing and homey I find about them that's why I put them on my list. But I don't have a lot else to say about it. It's just like
If there's one thing I'll say, I mean, I haven't seen the movie, but that cast looks fantastic. That cast looks great.
Daniel Kaluuya. I think that's his last name.
I think so.
I don't know. I forget the lady's name that's in that movie.
And there's Glenn.
Oh yeah. What the fuck is that guy's name? Invincible.
We suck. We really suck. But fantastic cast. I heard they did a good job. I'll watch it. I swear. My number 3 is Cabin in the Woods. Cabin in the Woods. What a movie. I think that an argument I've heard is that it's not as good on rewatches because you already know what's going on from the beginning. But I feel like the movie allows for more rewatches, especially the second rewatch is still really entertaining because from the get-go, now you understand what these employees are saying. I don't even know how to really start talking about the movie. First off, I love the cast. I love they did it kind of perfectly because this core set of characters are so easily like written off as basic and stupid and, you know, the shells and archetypes, but then they're not. They're really not, and they have character and they have more nuance to them, but then they end up being kind of forced into these roles by the overall enemy of the whole thing. I just love it. I love it. It exactly, you know, parodies horror movies, and it gets me thinking. That's another thing. I really like thinking about the different ways things could have ended up, and God, I love the characters also. That's a film that makes me homey and makes me laugh. So
I watched that movie when I was really young, and I liked it a lot. I think it's. I mean, then again, I was a kid at the time, but as far as like 2000s to 2010 like meta horror movies, it's very refreshing. It's not just like a lot of the movies followed the not Scream path, but kind of the Scream path.
Yeah.
But what I mainly mean is like the scary movie path, where it's just like, you know, it's impossible to make a good horror movie, so let's just make fun of the genre.
right.
And that's kind of cheap, I think, and
Absolutely.
it's disrespectful also because horror is the best genre of film ever put to the big screen. And I like the fact that Cabin in the Woods, it does, you know, it pokes at the genre, it pokes at its tropes, but it is still a horror movie. And it's not
Absolutely.
trying to put itself above horror movies. It's not making fun of them and punching down. It's making fun, but it's clear that the people who made it loved horror movies, and they just wanted to make a good horror movie that was a little subversive and a little a little meta, a little big brained.
Yeah, that's the thing that makes me annoyed about the conversation of those I like the 2000s meta horror joke shit, because people will relate it back to Scream, and I really do put Scream and Cabin in the Woods in the same boat.
Yeah, because they're both like maybe intellectual is a bit of a big word to use there. But
I think so.
Like,
fucking Wes Craven made Scream.
Like, they're smart movies, and they aren't just like, oh, horror movies are bad, let's make fun of them. They want to be good horror movies at the same time as being commentaries on the genre at the time.
Exactly. It's I feel like people put something on Scream where they think it's a joke because of what you said, and it really isn't. It just to kind of. It was my sixth pick. It's just pure preference, but like Scream is fantastic, and it sucks that I think I almost made a mockery of it. Like, my parents don't like Scream, and it's not because they don't like Scream, it's because they think Scream sucks, and they're wrong. You're wrong, Mom and Dad. You're wrong.
Yeah.
What's your third pick?
Second?
It's your second pick. God damn it.
The original Night of the Living Dead from, what was it, like 1963?
Okay.
It's just the best horror movie of all time. I mean,
Okay,
it's not my favorite.
Yes.
But I usually hate zombie movies. I don't think that I have a really good reason why. I just, like, when I hear zombie movies, I'm like, oh, that's done.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to Night of the Living Dead, it's like barely a zombie movie. Obviously, it created zombies. But the point of the movie isn't zombies. It's how the people... It's very much like The Thing, where it's not really about the zombies. It's about how the people who are surviving the zombies crack under the pressure in that house. And as far as pushing the boundaries for who can be in, like, having a black main character in, 1963. I think that's when the movie came out.
Yep.
That's fucking crazy. And George A. Romero, that's the guy's name. He didn't write the movie with that social commentary in mind. He just wrote the character without any specific race in mind. Mm-hmm. But when he casts a black man in 1963 to be the most competent character in a movie and all of the other characters around him are white, that's saying something, especially at that time.
Right.
And it's fucking great. It's just relentlessly awesome. In the ending, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie from 1963, but having this black man be the most competent character in the film the entire time, and then in the end of the movie being killed by white cops because they assume that he's a zombie, that's fucking crazy. And it's so fucking sad and tragic. It's I don't know if I would say it's up there with The Mist in levels of tragic endings, but dude, it's fucking miserable to watch, to see the only cool guy in the movie get gunned down by some fucking idiot fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, that movie makes me so angry, but it's just so good.
I was gonna, like, literally everything in that second half you said is what I want to say. Like, that movie, I think it's interesting. A part of me, I really don't. George A. Romero is a smart man, and I don't believe that he didn't have that in mind, or at least somewhat.
He would have at least been aware of it after casting who he cast.
Yeah, I feel like, but even if he didn't, it really does have that message, and it really does. I don't know. It means something. It means a lot to the times. So absolutely, I like that pick.
Yeah. Plus, without that movie, Jordan Peele wouldn't have made the movies that he made, because Jordan Peele often cites that movie specifically as one of his biggest inspirations.
Hell, without that movie,
there wouldn't be a lot.
There would not be a lot. And zombie films in general. I can only think of Train to Busan, which is another film that barely isn't on my list. But that's like my other zombie film. 28 Days Later was good. I can't think of much else. I honestly think that's it. Yeah. So it's a slim pickings, to be honest. So that's a good one. Yep. My number 2. I'm sorry. I had to pick 2 for this. I'm just lumping them together. I'm a bad guy. Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness. I feel like you're allowed to put them together. Although people would argue whether 2 is better than Army. Anyways, okay, yes. probably not horror films. I don't care. Fight me. Okay. I just think that Ash Williams is my comfort character. Okay. What a funny little guy, who gets beat up a lot but saves the day. I don't know. Slapstick comedy is a thing that I really like and I want more of nowadays. And I think that's the film that I did it in such a fun way and such a way that has never been replicated to me. Putting this guy in this just absurd, honestly horrifying situation, but then he's a goofus and he doesn't know what to do, but he's making it through. I don't know. It's wonderful. I don't know what to say. And Bruce Campbell is perfect casting. Like, I think everything in that movie went right for like the important parts, like the directing, amazing, casting, amazing. It's great. And yeah, I like, again, Army of Darkness. Is it maybe too funny? It may be too silly. Yeah, but I don't care. I love it. So
yeah, I don't really like Army of Darkness that much. I've tried to watch it a few times and I get like 2/3 of the way through the movie. I'm like, I don't know. I don't think it's a bad movie, but I think Evil Dead 2 was the perfect balance between, like, there's some horror in there and there's slapstick comedy.
Yeah.
And for my own personal taste, Army of Darkness veers a little too close into the other direction.
Yeah.
I like the fact that if Sam Raimi didn't put a lot of emphasis on the comedic aspects of Evil Dead 2, it could be a pretty horrific movie.
Absolutely.
You know, this guy's getting tormented by demons and he doesn't really know whether or not it's real or not, and he's just freaking the fuck out. Like the
And he killed his girlfriend, man. Damn.
The fucking scene where he gets into a dancing competition with the house. Like,
yeah,
it is funny, but at the same time, like, that is like his peak manic state, and it's really scary and depressing to watch because he's losing it. And like, if the other characters, the fucking archaeologist's daughter or whatever, never came and found him, he would have just like died there in reveling in his fucking insanity and shit. And it's really scary. Yeah.
And you know, when I go back to that thing I mentioned about like moments and things that kind of live in my head after it, that's the movie that really sticks in my mind. As you said, dancing competition, you know, him getting massacred by the house, particularly the one shot film, the one shot you know, camera sequence of him being chased by something through the house. Like, that lives in my mind. Again, slapstick, but the fucking Army of Darkness scene where he's like fighting with the fucking skeleton hand and he like gets poked in the eye. I don't know. Like, it offers so much. And honestly, I just talking about it, I want to rewatch it right now, and I'm probably going to. So
Yeah.
What's your number one?
Can you guess?
Hereditary.
It's fucking Hereditary. You're goddamn right it is, because it's the best movie to ever be put onto any screen anywhere, and it will likely forever be that way. That is the best movie of all time. Ooh, hit him with the heat. You guys can't see that, but it's the fucking time. I love that movie. I love that movie so much. It's such a great movie. I would never watch a 5-hour video essay for any movie that wasn't of Ari Aster. That movie's great. That movie's so good.
I love that you're holding the mic like you're singing to it to talk about this.
I swear to God, I could make a 2-hour video just glazing this movie to death.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on it? Because I could go on.
Yes, I'll go first so you can really go on your spiel. Ashton showed this to me for the first time. Again, exactly what he said. The only film, not the only one, but one of the only films I could watch a 5-hour talk about it. So much to say, so much like, and I hear people criticize it because like the first half is like character drama and less horror, and then fuck you. It's so good. It's so good. It's unique in its setup, and it's one of the most unique films I've ever seen, honestly, in every possible way, and the way that it's set up, where You know, as I said, mostly character drama until right at the end, and it just goes balls to the walls in fucking horror. And then that horror is something I've never seen before, and you know, like, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, the movie, the most criticism that I've heard for that movie is that it's like all really good until the last third of the movie, where it's just like people call it like generic horror movie schlock, and like if I hit myself in the head a few times and like squint my eyes, I could see that reasoning, but it's just wrong.
It's wrong.
At least I don't know.
So wrong.
Because it is, at that point, it's trying to be a horror movie. It's always trying to be, but its focus isn't always completely on the horror. And at that part of the movie, everything that has happened so far is done. Mm-hmm. And it's just over with for the characters. So all of the manic and demonic shit that's going on in the movie doesn't have to conceal itself. They can just torment these characters, because what are the characters going to do? Which is also, I think, one of the saddest parts about the movie. If you watch it, the characters are always hopeless. They are, from the start of the movie, completely and utterly doomed to end up the way they're going to at the end of the movie. People will point out like flaws. Trenton and I watched that 5-hour video essay together. If I can find who did it, I'll put it up there, because you should watch it too. I didn't realize just how intentional everything in that movie was. There's shit that I wouldn't have noticed if I had watched it 4 times over and over. I would have never gotten that. Mm-hmm. But after watching that, everything just made so much sense, and I feel bad because Ari Aster is over in wherever the fuck Ari Aster lives, slaving away on this movie just for most of his points to never get noticed. And it's also really sad. It wouldn't be my favorite movie if it weren't for the thematic resonance it had with me. Mm-hmm. What with like mental illness and stuff like that.
Coffee.
The whole, I guess, thesis of the movie is the cult and Annie's mother are supposed to be like depression and mental illness, and Annie's the person enduring that, especially if you look at it from like an inherited mental illness that's like something diagnosable. Hereditary. She is born and she doesn't ask to be afflicted with this. It's something that was done before she was even conceived of, and she's born into it and she can't do anything about it, and she suffers for reasons that she doesn't understand, and then by the time she understands what's going on, it's too late for her. That's the most tragic shit in the universe, and I like the fact that the movie knows that too. Like in the classroom scene, they're talking about Greek tragedy in relation to how tragic it is, whether or not characters know that if they're doomed or not. Does it, make it any better for them? Mm-hmm. It's just great. It's so smart. It's the smartest movie of all time, and I appreciate the fact that it's smart. And even if you aren't reading books about it, it's still just like a good horror movie. Even if you aren't completely understanding the dense subtext, it's just like, yeah, that's a good movie.
Yeah.
You don't need to watch a 5-hour video essay for it to be a good movie. I love that movie.
Yeah. And I mean, like what you said, I think that's one of those movies where, of course, I'm going to rewatch it, but I haven't yet because, yeah, I haven't yet because that's one of those things where, as we talked like that, I think rewatching it is going to really hurt my soul knowing what's going to happen to them, because it was set up from the start and there's nothing they could do about it, and it affected everyone. It fucking sucks.
Yeah,
it just fucking sucks.
Those poor characters, they're so enduring, and if you as
so real.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You as the person who's watching the movie, especially if you're rewatching it, you know how they're going to end up. So it's just so sad to see them struggle so hard against this immovable fucking force just for them to lose anyway, because, fuck you characters. You're going against things that are beyond your comprehension. Mm-hmm. As far as movies that like convey cosmic horror well, it doesn't get there, but Call of Cthulhu is like that too. The whole plot of Hereditary happens because the mother, I can't remember her name, but Annie's mother, the grandmother in the movie, she wants gold, riches, and knowledge. So she gets this cult together and signs a deal with this beyond life entity, Payman, and that's how the movie kind of starts. And that's basically what happens in Call of Cthulhu. These characters want gold, riches, blah, 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 so they pray to this archaic being, and it becomes real, and they're like, this is too much for our small minds, and they die, and it's like great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and then also, we haven't even talked about the acting, but that's one thing. Obviously, Toni Collette,
Genius. Yeah.
Genius. But then also in that I learned this from that 5-hour documentary of sorts. I remember there's a scene where it was that old lady who was really the one pushing Toni Collette to, start believing in and all that. And there was all these little notes of in the acting where it's like, oh, the character isn't fully into believing yet. And so in that moment, the older lady kind of starts reaching her hand out more and kind of almost forcing herself to where Toni can't leave. And then once Toni starts believing, she kind of pulls back. And there's so much. Yeah.
It's just big brain movie. Watch it. Watch the movie if you haven't. What's wrong with you?
Mm-hmm. And speaking of big brain movie, The Thing. The Binga. I don't know where to begin. I love it so much. Character drama. That's my big thing. Character drama and questions and intrigue and questions that aren't ever answered, right? A big thing to me is that, it feels like a lot of directors, and it's valid, okay, but a lot of directors kind of either reveal everything or afterwards they're kind of like, this was my interpretation. But we still have no clue who was the first person infected technically, or the main thing is what the order of who was infected was, and or what happened to fucking the burned guy. I'm sorry, I forgot his name. I forget everyone's names. But there's so many questions, and there's so many. I've genuinely spent nights thinking of what could have happened, and I've watched videos of people explaining it, and then I've seen another video of someone just as valid explaining something entirely different. But that all aside, then you have the character drama. You have where every single character feels fully fleshed out without ever really having to tell you who they are. I love that. It always sometimes feels like there are these characters and they come in and then they have oh, this is my character moment. And so you're like, oh, this is the jock guy. But in this film, it's just the characters are just existing and they're talking with each other and they feel so real and they react so real to everything that you form a genuine understanding of what this character is without them ever having to really tell the audience. They're just talking to each other and they know each other and they don't want to hurt each other, but they have no fucking clue what to do about the situation. But again, they're smart. I'm going too deep right now, but what do you think?
Yeah, it's just competency porn. If you've ever heard of that term.
I've never, but I like it.
I think some other YouTuber coined it. I spend a lot of time watching and looking at my phone. But he describes it as just movies where the point is that characters are smart and good at stuff. Like John Wick is competency porn for a guy who's good at killing people.
That's I like that.
And the thing that, for context, The Thing is about a movie. It's a movie about this shape-shifting being who, quote-unquote, assimilates other beings and steals their likeness and multiplies itself. And it invades this Arctic fucking, what do they call it?
Laboratory or something.
And the characters become aware of this after it's too late for them. It's already started to assimilate, but it's not too late enough for them to give up. It's just early enough to where we're probably fucked, but there's a chance we could still stop this. So the characters are still forced to try, and it's just the characters are smart. It's the writing is just good enough to where, if how in most movies, at some point you stop giving a shit about the character because it's stupid, and that the writer is writing it to die, and it's just well, this isn't realistic. No smart human being would ever make these decisions, but The Thing isn't like that. These are characters who are very well written and very intelligent, so you're right there with them, almost struggling as hard as they are to try and figure this out, because they're doing as much as they can, and it looks like it.
Yeah.
They're thinking of stuff that I wouldn't have thought of. And it's just such a smart movie. It's not crazy. It's not doing anything super symbolic with subtext. It's just, let's put these characters in a shit situation and let's see how how they deal with it, and it's just like that, and it's great. It's awesome.
And you know what I like about what you said with the competency thing? It's the feedback too, because you could make a movie, and I think it'd be also good for a different reason, where the characters are smart, but things just don't work, and they're just throwing shit at the wall, and it's just not working. But in this case, while they did lose at the end, everyone's gonna die either way, right? It wasn't a good ending per se. Like, they're always right on the cusp of winning. Like seriously, there's always, in every situation, there's like one thing left. And even in like the big couch scene, if he had just used his flamethrower, the movie would have been over. They would have done it. They would have won. If I'm correct, if I'm remembering correctly, and and then again, people could have been thingified beforehand. But if the movie is as it's presented, right, where that was the one thing in the room, if he had just done it, then it would have won. But that was his one mistake. It only took one mistake for it to all go wrong. And again, these characters are smart and they're always so close, but then they lose leeway just one time and it all falls apart. So good, so good.
Also, just another really aesthetically pleasing movie.
Yes.
They're just cold. It's really cold out there, and they're really going through it. I want to read. I think that was based on a short story, or it's an adaptation of a short story. I want to read that.
And a film.
Yeah, the other adaptation of the same short story.
Yeah. Something fascinating too. I guess this isn't about the film, but have I told you about the poster? How interesting the poster was?
Wasn't it like, I don't know, I forget. I think you told me about it, but I forget. Tell the audience.
The poster. This is as best as I can remember. First off, what a poster, right? But the thing is that edit us with fucking light beaming. No, but that poster was made like legitimately, I think, a day or two. It was made way too close to the deadline because something was wrong with they had a deadline, and I guess I'm not really sure, but either way, they brought it to this guy and they were like, "We're making an adaptation of The Thing," and the guy was like, "Okay, could you tell me about what you're doing differently?" And they're like, "No, we're making an adaptation of The Thing." And so this guy had to come up with something that, and it just perfectly went there, because I do think that poster, while it has no fucking clue what the movie actually is, it's perfect without having to be about the actual short story, because and that could have been a disaster. Imagine if it was something that is so obviously from The Thing from Another World, and then it's this movie. That could have sucked, but it didn't suck, and it's the best poster of all time, honestly.
Also the effects are really good. That's like kind of what the movie's known for. It's a body horror and the effects are really great, but the thing that makes The Thing so good as a thing is the fact that it doesn't need to rely on its grossness to be great. The writing is just really good, and on top of that, if you like body horror, it's one of the best ever to do it. So watch it.
Yeah, I wish that it wasn't a movie so filled in conversation about it, because people will talk about it in the way that it's like, "Oh, watch this if don't watch this if you're not into it." And it's like, I can see that, but the movie is genuinely so much more than its effects. It really is. There are so many movies that live and die by their effects. Fucking Terrifier, that whole movie is about its gore. This is not one of those. This is about so much more, and the gore is just really, to me, it's there to get you to care. In my opinion, I think that's what the gore is there for. So, yeah.
I think that's about the size of it.
Yeah.
Listen to our single. It's called Lower. It's about getting low with it. Yeah.
Thank you.